Good morning, everyone. Good evening for others. You're watching Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing talk show. I'm your host, Christian Karasevich, CEO and founder of socialchefs.com. And we have a fantastic episode for you this week. This is episode 142 with guest Rachel Moore. Rachel, she's been a previous guest on Social Chatter. We're having her back. We're having her back because she's just a fantastic individual to get to know. She's fantastic with live video. I think their Be Live community thing they're doing is a Facebook partner. I hope I got that right, but I'm going to bring Mike on, who's co-hosting for us this week, filling in for Phil and Nick. Mike, how you doing?
Hey, Christian, it's good to be here again in Phil's place here. Last time I was on, it was with Phil, so I kind of feel like I'm in the right spot, but it's good to be back. It's good to be here with you.
Great to have you on. By the way, can you move to your right? I think for some reason there you go. You're getting cut off. So we've got a fantastic show tonight, don't we? We've got Rachel on. So do you know anything about Rachel, or can you tell viewers about Rachel?
Well, I mean, she gave us just this little introduction to begin with, but I know she's coming to us from the Colorado area, and she is, as you said, I mean, a vibrant personality using Facebook Live. And has a couple roles. So I'm going to let you dive into her roles a little bit.
So actually, let's do this. Let's bring Rachel on. Let's have Rachel just give everybody a quick intro about her. How you doing, Rachel? Good to see you.
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good.
Fantastic.
Well, oh gosh. So I mentioned to you offline, I do so many things that sometimes it's just like, do I have to talk about all the things? So I do live in Colorado. I'm in Denver, as are many social media and live streaming people.
Right.
But one of the things that correlates a lot to what we're doing tonight is I co-host a weekly live stream on the Be Live TV Facebook page. I co-host with Ross Brand, who you guys probably know. Yes, I always say it. He's a gem of a human being. I love him, and so I love that we get to co-host that show together. But we co-host a show called Best of Be Live, where we cover Be Live users who are broadcasting with their own shows and why those shows are awesome. We've had John Tesh on. We've had DJs from New Jersey and all kinds of like crafts people, and it's just been amazing. And so we have a lot of really cool people and a lot of people that you guys know too in the same circles. And I also am a full-time digital communications manager for a company here in Denver. And I have my own company called Really Social, which is basically used to be a full-service social media marketing firm. And now with having a full-time job and a co-hosting job, I have kind of downsized that to just live streaming, podcasting, and social media how-to. So that is those are all my jams.
So is there a link to your show, or is there a link we could drop in the comments for everyone?
Sure. So I can give you a bit.ly that actually gets you to where you can it's a messenger bot that lets you like sign up for our show and you can learn more about it. But it's bit.ly/ all undercase get best of Be Live. So bit.ly/ get best of Be Live, all lowercase.
Very nice. So make sure we drop that in the comments here.
Get best of Be Live. That's right.
Very nice. Very nice. And how'd you build that chatbot actually?
So I can't take credit for that. That's actually Molly Mahoney, who is the Prepared Performer. Is her gig name, and she is another host on the Be Live TV Facebook page. She does a weekly show on Wednesdays. So she is the bot queen, or at least one bot queen that I know. And she basically has set that all up for them. So we are learning as we go, and bots are wild. So it's been fun to use that.
And they really aren't that difficult to set up. I mean, in some cases, it basically, you're setting up a funnel essentially. It comes down to how complex you want to make them. So, Mike, are you using bots at all in anything, or?
I've experimented with them, so I don't feel like I've gotten one to the spot where I want it yet. It's mostly it's a matter of time. I mean, because it's all there if you walk through all the steps, if you set the pieces up, and I haven't gotten the patience to stick with it long enough to get a sequence that I feel good about, the complete enough.
We had RJ Redden on our show on Tuesday. I wasn't able to be on the show live. I was totally in the comments, but I was ill. I was just getting over a cold. But she's someone that Ross knows, and she had a great insight, because I've always looked at the bots. When you get into bots, it's like a black hole. You just get in there. You're like, oh, I'll just set something up. But then you just start getting deeper and deeper. And you're like, but I can set up all these. It's like setting up an email marketing drip campaign. Right. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. And she had a really good idea where she said she teaches people to say, hey, you need to create a conversation. And what she has you people do is do Post-it notes up on their wall where here's what someone says, here's what you would say, here's what someone says, here's what you would say. So you can kind of plot it out that way. And then once you get it to where you think you want it, that's when you put it into the bot. And I'm like, oh my God, that would probably save me so much time.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where you just need to put together a little flow chart. Physically, like while we're moving digitally for most things, you need to sometimes take the time to, draw this out and create a flow chart, on paper of how you want things to go. Obviously, maybe draw that pencil might help you a little bit. But draw out your flow chart and start simple. Actually, that's the other key thing. Start simple, because once you get into it, it's the same with digital marketing. You get into it and it's just, you're like, this is just so much like overwhelming. Oh, now you go from like 0 to 100 in like 2 seconds. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm on overwhelm now. So. Yeah,
it really is about reverse engineering it, or if that doesn't work for you, just plotting it out and getting it on paper before you try to get it into the bot itself. So it was there. I don't think I'll ever stop learning about bots. And they keep getting better, and a lot of people are using them really effectively. Some people not so much, or some companies, but they're here to stay, I think, just like live streaming and everything.
Absolutely. By the way, so for everybody who's watching tonight or this morning, in my case, be sure to hit that share button, share our broadcast out for Social Chatter, so we can bring in some more viewers. We've got some great people watching tonight. We've got Lisa Monks here. We've got Nicole Verent. We've got Nicole.
Hey, Nicole.
Sarah Stahl just popped in. Joanne Kroll. So a lot of really great guests.
I love Joanne Kroll.
Nice.
So, Mike, where do you want to get started with this week's topics? We have a lot to talk about.
We do. I think that we're just going to start with Facebook, because there's quite a few there. So that's kind of a key one. And then maybe, Christian, we'll break it up a little bit, and you can drop, because I have a number with Facebook. So maybe we'll drop in Snapchat in between there just to mix it up a little bit along the way.
Okay. Yeah, that works. Totally.
Yep. So first one is Facebook removing trending topics. So this has been around years. I mean, since 2014. I mean, that we've had trending topics in Facebook, and typically in your desktop, you see that on the right side there, and you can see the little box and have a number of things in there. And Facebook said, going away. But really, when you got into the details, did you believe it was only available in 5 countries?
That's pretty.
That blows my mind, dude. That's so crazy.
I don't know. 5 countries, yeah, and it accounted for less than 1.5% of clicks to news publishers. Well, yeah, I mean, particularly if it's going to be available to that few of countries. So they're announcing that, which makes sense in a way, just because it's a mobile world. Facebook's putting forth a mobile platform, and they're beginning to move towards what they call breaking news label. Testing breaking news notifications, and another one called Today In, that connects people to the latest breaking important news from local publishers in their city. So that one's got a local twist to it. I like that. And news video in Watch. We will soon have a dedicated section on Facebook Watch in the US where people can view live coverage. So that's live. Wow. Another live feature there. So trending topics going away, but definitely some things to take its place, and they kind of gave some reasons why, mobile world, those type of pieces. But that's the first one. Thoughts on that?
Not sorry. It's about time they killed trending topics. I don't even look at that stuff. I don't know about anyone watching in the comments if you guys even look at that. I don't. And nowadays it's like I'm trying to just skip through stuff in my algorithm to be like, I want to get to the things I want to see. Yeah. So I'm glad it's going away.
Yep. Yeah, interesting to note, Lisa's chiming in here that Facebook Watch, one of the things that is, quote, coming with some new things, is still not even available in Australia, which is unfortunate. But now they're talking about, and again, Facebook Watch in the US where people can view live coverage. So doesn't look like that one will help you out as well, at least at that point in time. But any thoughts on that between Watch, Today In, or the breaking news notifications? Any preference to any of those three?
So I will say before we get into that, I think that it's going to be this kind of reminds me of when Facebook did a big redesign a number of years ago where everybody had to sign up for this beta, and some people got it. I never got it, actually. You'll remember that, right? Like it was like, oh, everybody's like, oh, I want this new design, or I want the new like features that are there, and
we're like,
I sort of feel like it might be that same way with this.
Yeah, I feel like it's I feel like they're trying to be Twitter a little bit. I go to Twitter for my breaking news. I mean, shoot, when like the whole, I don't want to dive into this, but when the whole Roseanne Barr thing hit, I was like, I went to Twitter because I'm like, I'm going to find out exactly what's happening real time. And I did. And so I immediately thought of Twitter when I thought, well, you guys want to be the breaking news place. I guess this is your stab at that. So, I mean, great. I bet they'll have success with it because it's Facebook. But that was my first thought was,
So out of those topics, out of the selections, Mike, whether it's Watch or whether it's the Today In or the notifications, I like the idea of the notifications.
Yep.
But I think that if you look at like what was just announced at Worldwide Developer Conference, which was Apple's recent event, Apple is actually taking steps to block tracking, for example, on your through Facebook, for instance, like tracking, like basically not letting them follow you around the web. So I kind of see the notifications as a bit of an invasion, even a further invasion of privacy, because the other thing that was also mentioned was how much time people spend on their mobile devices. And, Apple is actually taking the steps to reduce or to better inform the consumer how much time you're spending. They actually have new features in their upcoming iOS that will actually limit how much screen time you're using.
Wow.
So it's very interesting where they're basically, like yin and yang, I guess, in a way. Like they're going, one company saying, hey, we want to limit your screen time or help protect you. The other one's saying, hey, we want you to be on here more. We want to send you notifications. So I like the idea of the notifications. I like the idea of the watch feature, but I personally, I don't spend that much time watching live video.
I don't either.
Checking, let me sit down, and watch a news article or watch something new on the show, like on, in this case, like a CNN, for instance, if they have a watch partner. I don't see myself doing that.
Well, it makes you wonder if they're, and I guess they are. I mean, I know they're trying to build people to, be creators. I mean, they have the whole gaming thing now too. So maybe they're hoping that, but this is particularly, you said it's news video. So I wonder if they're ramping up more than we've seen, ramping up plans to really enlist a lot of publisher broadcasting networks to say, hey, make sure you publish on here and kind of gear that up. And of course, let's just be honest, we're all going to see ads in all these videos. So yes. I'm sure that this is just something that they're planning to be like, yes, and you're going to watch more. And by the way, buy some things while you're watching. So I don't know. I will wait and see. The jury's out. My jury is out on this one.
Yep.
By the way, and Hassan made a really great point here, about watches to compete with YouTube, which is completely dominant right now. And, and that's true. Watches, definitely, I mean, they need to get into the video game. They basically, I think, are ripping a YouTube piece out of YouTube's playbook here.
And Twitch too, trying to move aside Twitch. I think Twitch is now part of Amazon, I think. But yeah, Twitch being just pretty much the home for online gaming for people doing that stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So they're going to find a way. They saw that Trends was not doing it, but it's not trendy for sure. So I'm kind of curious about the Today In, kind of the local thing, just to see what that is. I mean, there's, I definitely, I mean, other than friends sharing local news information, that's the only way on Facebook I really got that kind of local. And I don't go to Twitter necessarily for local either. I go for breaking. So kind of interesting to see what they come up with in the Today In. But I thought it was interesting, Christian, you said that about like CNN and things like that, that you don't watch a lot of that and you don't see that changing, right? Is that... I
don't see that. Here's the thing. I don't see that changing because I don't really buy into a lot of these sites, like a lot of these news sites. So for example, if I want to go watch and this is the thing, like it's very irritating. You go to watch, for instance, like a video, and everybody's a publisher these days, a media publisher, media company. And so you have companies like CNN, you have companies like New York Times. They're basically just taking someone else's content and then they throw together, a 30-second video that they want you to watch. Like, oh, hey, we broke this news. Like, no, you really didn't. You kind of you're kind of scratching for like content. So that's why I don't really see myself watching it, because I can go to many other sources that are breaking it a lot faster, and not just like, making it like just a content farm, like more content.
Yeah. And I'm curious too, the part about Today In where it said local officials and organizations will have a kind of more play on that.
Yeah.
I find that a bit interesting. I could see where, well, particularly you're coming up on midterms and things like that. I'm not sure when they plan to roll this out, but I would imagine there would be some local government and political campaigns or people holding office who would love to have a little more eyeball time on the Facebook timeline. So I'm curious about that. I'd love to see more detail from them as like, well, who are you talking about? Or, like, are you talking like city of Denver, where I live, or are you talking like, are these sports organizations or are they strictly news? Some of these not so much mainstream news sites that we have here, like in Denver, we have the Denver Post, but then we also have other publications like Westward, which is a little more grassrootsy. So I'd be curious to see how they're going to allocate the the rights to be able to appear in Today In, and if it's going to be based on follower counts or fan bases, or, do you have to have a little blue check mark that will verify it on your profile to be like, do you have to be infamous basically in your area, or can you just be effective? So I'm curious to see how they roll that out.
And they're probably going to have, by the way, they'll probably tap into the feature where you can have, for instance, like a newscaster at a station. They're going to probably tap into that feature where you can bring them into your Facebook Live or have them run Facebook Lives from a main page. So that way you can pull somebody in, for instance, from location, or do some cross posting, because you can do cross posting now with video. When you schedule a Facebook Live video, you can go into the settings option, and there's actually approved channels where you can broadcast in multiple places at once. So you can syndicate within Facebook, obviously, multiple pages. So, but yeah, if I'm a business, what do I do here? What can I do? Or how does this impact me?
God, I guess you'd hope, I'd want to delve in and say, well, do I need to like become a news source? And that's honestly, that's been kind of the playbook for like the last at least 10 years, where you have seen news organizations that are intended to output news. They're downsizing, they've gone from paper to digital, and they've seen people that are so expecting free content that they're not getting as much money into subscriptions. So they're really battling, it's like you said with CNN, they're battling trying to be the one that people are looking at, even though they have less editors, less journalists and things like that. So, and then, across from that, you've got businesses who, because those newsrooms are decreasing their staff, they don't want to come out and dig for a story. They want you to hand them one packaged. And that's where the whole content marketing is, where people are like, well, we need to tell our story. We need to package it through social, through video, through blogs, and just give it served up on a platter to a news source. So in my mind, it would be, if a business can be forward thinking enough and have enough savvy in resources to be able to say, yes, we actually do provide news in our community, and show that that's how they're tapped in. I think that's a good opportunity for a business, if they haven't done it yet, or if they have been building that, to say, I'm a news source in Denver or in New York, and you totally want to add me to Today In, because I do provide that, in addition to then they've got their company that they do normal business with. So I'd be curious to see if people are able to jump in on that and not necessarily be strictly news, but kind of have news as almost as a byproduct of what they're doing for their business. You know what I mean?
Mike, anything you want to add to this?
Well, I think there might be the opportunity, just kind of like what we do here. So, and that is to give commentary on what the news was. So for a business, if there's going to be certain publishers that are out there that are giving information, then a business might want to take, hey, and here how we see this impacting us, or, for if it's a local news kind of thing. So then it's like, hey, here's how we see this impacting. This is what you could do. This is how our service is going to be available to you for this. I don't know. So maybe they have to be aware of it and quick to respond, give their commentary on it.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically need smarter people working at some of these news companies. I think that's the synopsis there, right? You need people that can think on their feet, can think creatively, but still work within the confines of the organization, I guess.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yes, definitely. So where do we want to go next, Mike?
Yep. Well, let me keep on the Facebook train here. And one of the other things that they rolled out here recently is new Facebook fundraising tools. Okay. So there's been fundraising tools around, but the key difference here, and you can go to, maybe you want to drop this link in, facebook.com/fundraisers with an S on it. They're announcing new features by expanding it to pages. And finally. So I think, and this doesn't mean that you have to be a nonprofit, your page, but you as a brand that wants to support a nonprofit. So a brand or a public figure can now fundraise for a nonprofit cause, and so I think that's kind of the big key. And as well, they're taking it up a notch with some tools here, adding organizers. So now you don't have to run this solo, but you can do this together and kind of collaboratively expand the network of supporters for that. So I think those are two keys, helping nonprofits raise more from their supporters through Facebook. And so I think, again, that's what it's about. There's businesses that are looking for, they have philanthropic endeavors along the way. And so this kind of gives them a tool now on their page to be able to utilize that. Again, Facebook trying to keep people there, give them tools to do good. Perspective from you guys on that?
It's really great. I'm just messaging my friend Ann Wynn. She runs mobile chat, but she's also recently started working a lot with nonprofits in Houston, and does a lot like with Arthritis Foundation and stuff. So I just sent her that link because I'm like, oh my God, look, because there's such a need, and people may not realize it, but a lot of companies are trying to give back to their communities. And to be able to do that, you want to do it where you're not like, look at us, we're giving to the community, we're amazing. But if you can do it in a way where you're like, we're doing it through our Facebook page, you can see that, but we're also trying to get you to give because we're all in this together. It's a great marriage of publicizing as well as actual philanthropy. So I think it's great that they're finally broadening this out to pages, because I imagine there are tons of businesses who would say, finally, we can put the engine of Facebook behind us trying to do this extra effort. And also, by the way, say, hey guys, we actually do support this. You can go check our Facebook timeline and where you're already. So I love it. I think it's a great move.
Fantastic move as well. In my opinion here, I think that, again, if you're going to give to something though, you have to give, just give of yourself. Don't just, do it because, hey, it's going to make me look good or make my business look good. It's not about that.
Don't just do it for the engagement that happens, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now, one question I have on this, okay, so pages are going to have the ability to do fundraising. I love the idea to be able to, by the way, welcome Ann. Thanks for popping in here. I love the ability to be able to also have organizers. This kind of, that's a smart move. I mean, very smart move.
Yeah.
So do you think that a business needs to be careful about which cause they associate themselves with? Do you think that's going to impact any of this, or do you think it's going to impact? I'm just wondering here, because hey, I could have a great Facebook page and hey, I throw up that, fundraiser, and all of a sudden people are like, hey, I don't really support that. So they don't want to associate with your business. Do you think it could impact that, or what
it could? It could, I think. But hopefully you're gonna have a savvy social media manager like Ann Wynn, who is gonna do the diligence of saying, maybe we have always supported this particular nonprofit and now we can do it. The Facebook, Facebook is our conduit to do it, or they do check it. It'd be like you got to think about it in the context. Would you put out a press release saying that we're supporting this nonprofit? I would hope that someone would do some research on that before they just throw one out there, because you've got to feel out how would people react. And hopefully a lot of businesses would have a narrow enough focus that, yes, we were able to very specifically pick this one. It fits our mission, or our customer base really believes in it, and go for it. So as long as you're doing due diligence, I would see that would be a good thing to make sure that you're aligning with a good nonprofit.
Mike, anything you want to add here? I mean, I love that point there. Just
definitely think it's a positive, and definitely think it's a big boost for nonprofits. I think because it allows them to get some of their kind of corporate sponsors behind them, brands, figures, that type of thing. And I think that can be a way that it does generate needed support for some tremendously valuable nonprofits. So I think there's some good that can come out of that for sure.
I also like, by the way, the fact that like you could, you have the a donation amount, for instance, that or goal you're trying to reach. Like that, having that visible, I think, is really important, because it also, it helps people one, learn about the cause, but two, know that hey, this person's actually putting together a fair amount of money to contribute, to a cause.
Yeah,
I think that's key.
And can I give a shout out to my friend Aaron Sell, who just hopped in too, because I love all my friends when they come into the comments, and it's awesome to see them. So hi Aaron, and hi Ann, and hi everyone else I haven't said hi to yet, but I'm just excited.
There we go.
By the way, and I'm reading here what Ann just wrote. It could affect the business depending on the NPO they support. Important thing is the NPO and the business are aligned in vision and mission. Absolutely, great points. And and that's the key thing. Like if you're gonna our friend Jessica, she talks about this all the time about building relationships, Jessica Phillips. And, it's the same thing here. Like if you want to support a nonprofit or you want to put together your own fundraiser, do your research on the thing first. Don't just say, hey, I'm going to support this just because. Do your research, build a relationship with that, with that company behind that mission. And then launch your Facebook page. Don't just jump into it. It's definitely something you need to make sure you do a little bit of research on first.
Well, and you have to think too, I mean, we see so many times too that there are reports of where people can give to a nonprofit, but then later find out, well, 5 cents of your dollar went to the actual need and the rest was overhead. And so we're always trying to figure out, well, where can my dollars make the best effect? And you have to think in that context, be like, would you want to align with a nonprofit that is not that effective at actually helping the thing that they're saying they're helping? And so, you think of it that way. And if you can prioritize it that way, I think the bottom line here is diligence and making sure that you're taking care of the business and the research part.
Absolutely. Great points, everyone.
Yeah. That is kind of following up on that. I mean, I did not check yet and get the details on kind of what the transaction percentages, so they're going through that. If it's, because there's Stripe has a percentage, GoFundMe would have a percentage, and Facebook did. Last time I checked it, just compared to, because I run a nonprofit, one of my side gigs there, and the last time I checked, it was still a little bit higher than what I could do. Just generally through Stripe on a web page. And so I was trying to drive traffic there yet. So, I mean, that's a consideration that I'll still take a look at, is to say, pros and cons of can I generate more just because it's in that community, or, and go through that with a higher fee, or, I'm not exactly sure what that fee is. So I have to take a look at those pieces.
Yes.
Good point. Very good points. So, Mike, where do you want to head next?
Yep. Well, I still got one more Facebook one, but let's just throw a curveball in there. And why don't you go to Snapchat? I think we want to.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about Snapchat here. What do we have going on with Snapchat this week?
What is going on with Snapchat? I saw someone had an article saying they needed to grow up. I saw that today, but I was like, geez, harsh.
And last week, though, actually, Snap had a really good comment about copying Facebook, or Facebook copying them, and how Facebook needs to copy their privacy and whatnot. Yeah. So.
Yeah, they got a point there.
This is an interesting, and I actually think that was a really good point they made. So this week, Snapchat is rolling out Snapkit for developers. I'm glad they're finally doing this. I think my question though is it too late for this? Yeah,
No,
I don't. Like, I like Snap for the technology. I think they do fantastic work for the technology. I kind of feel this is a little bit too late, but like,
I'm looking at it right now because I need to embrace developers. Oh, they're finally going to embrace developers because they, don't embrace influencers or anything. That's what I've heard in the past from them too. So sorry, commence. I'm going to read up on this while you comment.
By the way, we lost Mike for a second here. I think, I think his signal went down.
Mike, come back, Mike.
So we'll wait for Mike to come back here. I'll give you a little time to catch up here on the reading. But the bottom line is Snap is Snapkit platform for developers to be able to bring features such as logins to other apps, camera effects, and more.
So is this like, my instant thought is this like when you go on, pretty much any website on the planet and it says, would you like to log in with Facebook? So will I now be able to log in with my Snapchat account? That's pretty massive. Yeah,
exactly right. And I think that's going to, I think that, they haven't really said anything about it, but I suspect that's the direction they're going with it.
I think it's very smart. You've got millennials, teenagers and millennials are using Snapchat primarily. And so you've got this whole new generation coming up and they're also using the web. And so if they can log in with their Snapchat, they're not going to use Facebook because they're not on Facebook. Now, older people like myself do use Facebook more than Snapchat. So yeah, I'll log in with Facebook if it's convenient, but I see that that's great. I think that's very smart of them to open this up. I don't think it's too late because I think any millennial or teen who uses Snapchat is going to tell us old fogies, it's not too late. I use Snapchat all the time. And so I don't know that they're going to talk like that really, but so I don't think it's too late. I think it's about time. But it's cool that they open this up. It's great that they're going to now have just kind of segue across to different sites and stuff to be able to log in that way.
Definitely. Joanne makes a good point. She says, Snapchat's still her favorite place, new quality connections each day. Again, everybody's going to get something for people saying, oh, Snapchat's not for me. It may not be for your business. Mm-hmm. But, in Joanne's case, it works for her.
Yeah.
For instance,
she's great on
you do have to look at, where your customers are at. I like I said earlier, I like the tech behind Snapchat. I think they do some amazing things there. I think it's hard for them to get some traction, and I think part of that's because people just might not really understand Snapchat or the power of it.
Yeah. I think, and that's one thing. So one thing that I saw and have seen a lot of value in Snapchat is strictly just the private snaps, the messaging. It's great to do your stories. That's totally awesome. And people get so creative with that stuff. It's great. But to be able to just talk to people across, and honestly, that's where I think Facebook's really tried to compete with Snap, with private snaps, through Facebook Messenger, where they added video calling. They added that you can share GIFs and things like that. They really are trying to go head to head because Snapchat is inherently a messaging app. And so, and there are so many cool companies. I was talking about this today where Taco Bell, this was months ago, where they did a hiring campaign through Snapchat where, hey, send us snap us your 10-second video about why you want to work for Taco Bell. And that was how they got hiring to people, for people. So, they're very innovative. Obviously, there's been a ton of copycatting going on from Snapchat. Instagram and Facebook are copying a lot of stuff. So I don't know. I think they're always going to have strength though, because they are, that younger set is going to stick with them because that's where they like to hang out and that's where their friends are. I see kids all the time. I commute downtown on buses and trains back and forth, and every kid, I'm not kidding, 99 times out of 100, if they have their phone in their hand, they're doing a snap. So it's very prevalent, and I think it's smart for them to do this to be still kind of they're basically branching out, saying we're not just in this app, we're also on the web now. So have fun with it.
And I like the fact that they're doing that. They've been doing that over the past couple of weeks on the show. We've been talking about this. We've been talking about how they've been moving into, for instance, having snap maps that could be embedded. Now they've got the login feature. They're trying to open things up a little bit. That's a very fine line to walk, I think, because given their demographic.
Yeah.
But Mike, what do you think, by the way, about Snapchat's Snapkit?
Yeah, well, I thought I was commenting on this before, and then suddenly I wasn't there. So, yeah, no, I think you touched on it. I mean, it's probably long overdue, but and I know they felt like maybe they were plateauing, so this is to inject new life. And Rachel was right. I mean, just when you see that younger generation, when you're out in public and you see what they're doing, and I watch my kids, that's what they're doing. So I think the login does give them another means to expand their reach. So I think that's potentially a very valuable tool there. And I think that what they're doing with the Snapchat's full feature camera, and that can share back to Snapchat. So I think that's innovative. So I think there's some potential here with some of their tools there. I think this Snapkit is overdue, but better late than never.
Right.
Can I add one thing I wish they would add, like yesterday, is to be able to easily switch accounts. Oh my God. Because I have two. I have my account, which I haven't logged into for months because I'm just lazy. And also sometimes I can't remember my password. But then I have a Snapchat account for our family's podcast. And right now I'm logged into that. And I'm like, oh God, I'd love to go snap on mine, but I have to log out and log back in. And I just want them to add that to where I can switch between one or more, or two or more accounts easily to, okay, let me do a snap over here. Let me do a snap on this one. Why can't I do that? They need to add that. So.
That's so like what, 2015, like
I know.
Logging in and logging out.
And that will not be too late when they finally add it, but it'll be about darn time because it's like, come on, people.
Right. Yeah. You think about that. Instagram,
I was
Twitter.
just yeah. And absolutely right, Mike. Like the thing that comes to mind is like Instagram has multi-account switching. Super easy.
Facebook has it.
And here's the thing: if Snap adds that, I don't think anybody could say, "Hey, we're copying that," because it's basic functionality. They could copy the way it's implemented because hey, they like it. By the way, Sarah makes a great point. In her case, Snapchat's her all-time favorite platform. So like I know, like she was telling me the other day, I think she did a snap on our Alexa that we have. Like for instance, we have a flash briefing for the show at socialchefs.com/Alexa. And, and she was saying, hey, she was just doing a snap on it, which I'm glad she was doing that. Thank you so much, by the way.
Yeah.
And I think she can link off to that. So there's still a lot of functionality that you can use, Snapchat for. From a business perspective, what do you guys think that a business needs to do to either learn Snapchat? Because, hey, if this is for developers, they're going to say, hey, I'm not a developer. But what do you think they should do to better learn Snapchat, whether you're viewing today or, Rachel or Mike?
They need to lurk in it. I would say they need to create an account and they need to lurk in it and just go add people and watch what other people are doing in Snap. And then, figure out what you want to say. Because again, thinking about the demographic it is, there are so many possibilities though. I mean, I helped, we did a geofence, geofilter for a conference a couple years ago where we were the only ones with a snap filter in the whole exposition hall. And it was like for a talent development thing. We got tons of people coming by our, booth because they were all like, oh, I just checked out Snapchat and I just saw you had a filter and it told me where your booth was. So tons of ways you can use it because it's geo-based. You can do that. It's creative. And then it's got that just little mini video part that you can make so episodic and stuff. I mean, but I would say all of that stuff, it might feel complicated, but just it's like any other social platform. Get in and lurk a bit and see, kind of figure out the tools. Erin points out really astutely in her comment below that it's not intuitive. That is something they could work on in the future. So if they made it a little easier for people to adopt, because we were trying to get my stepmom on this because she has grandkids who are using Snapchat, and she's still on that learning curve, y'all. She basically knows how to see their snaps, but if you ask her to try to private snap her grandkids back, she's not going to figure that out. So they really just need to get in, kind of play, but don't be on there just to be on there. Figure out what you're going to do and how it's going to be unique to your business for that audience. And that runs with any other social platform. It's just something you need to figure out.
And great point. Like Joanne, for instance, says, Snap's a lot of work. You have to engage to get views on your story. Like you have to engage, but that's the thing. You have to do that on every platform. It's not just, you can't be a business and just say, hey, I'm going to automate everything. I'm going to put everything out there and I'm going to put it out there. Hey, I'm on social media. Like it doesn't work that way. You have to engage, you have to spend the time, like learning the platform. You don't have to use it. You don't have to use 100% of the features. You can just go on there and just lurk, for instance, just at the beginning, and then move into actually using it.
Bless you.
So,
well, and let's be honest, nobody's going to mock you as hard for not knowing an app as teens and millennials. Okay. So you better know how to use it before you're like, I'm making awesome content for you guys to digest. They'll be like, go away, oldie. We'll get back to what we were doing. You got to know your stuff and look like you know what you're talking about a little bit, because mockery is dead ahead if you don't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of mockery, I'm a little worried about this one too, but I'm going to jump, Christian, back into this one. Facebook taking on Lip Sync Live. So you like that transition? Mockery there?
Yes,
the potential for it here. So Christian, you and I will soon be able to do Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses.
Awesome.
There we go.
Can't wait.
Oh my God, this is so cool.
So Lip Sync Live, you can express yourself with music from a variety of genres in real time. So you're going to have an option, to choose the Lip Sync Live option when you're starting a live video. You select a song from a list. You can add a description, customize your video with masks or background, so we can really, welcome to the jungle, and we can get that going, and we can do it. So I don't know. That's what Facebook says they're rolling out here, and there's a little bit more with it. They're continuing to develop the whole music arena. So weddings, holidays, everyday celebrations, they want to connect that together with the music industry. They say they're enabling people around the world to include music in their videos on Facebook. So that's separate from this lip sync piece here. That's nice. Instead of again, so this is approved music, that type of piece.
Right.
But instead of shutting down those videos and pulling them out there, they're going to be saying, hey, these are approved ones. You can pull this in. They're testing in different markets now. So that and the Lip Sync Live. So if you don't like Guns N' Roses, maybe you can do Havana.
ABBA, come on. Can I say musically, anyone? There's two things I'm going to say. There's an app called Musically that is what pretty much I think they're copying. But that's been a huge thing and a bit controversial in some areas, which again, any social media platform has hit controversy, but that is a lip syncing app where you can partner with people and do that. So I think it's neat that they're adding this, but I also see it as a grab for young people. We're still hip. Come back to us. And we'll see if they do. I don't know. Absolutely.
And that's the other thing. A lot of people have, this came out actually, I think this week, they were talking about how people were not using, or young people, the younger demographic wasn't using Facebook as much. So, you're right. Like it's a play, to get that audience, but at the same time, they do have to adapt. I mean, they have to have that functionality there if they're not attracting the right audience. So I'm glad to see them doing that. I think that, if I'm a business, I mean, I could maybe see doing, I think I wrote about this in the blog post, but I could see this being like a fun way to do just an icebreaker, for instance. Like you could have, your best friends, or, you could bring on some of your customers, for instance, like get to know your customers more, or do something with your team. Do something to like engage.
Hey, can I ask everybody who's watching this, whether you're watching live or replay, tag someone in your comments you would love to lip sync with. That's your challenge. I'm going to go as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to go tag, because I can think of at least 5 people I would love to lip sync with on Facebook, because that'd be hilarious. But I mean, as I'm a geeky adult and I love that stuff, and it's self-aggrandizing and it's fun, so I will totally do it. But I think it'll be interesting. And you're right, there are such good business practices with this. You could do contests. Say, hey, post your lip sync. Who's got the best lip sync? You're going to win XYZ. Particularly if you have a live event going on and there's going to be people watching the timeline too in the feed or whatever. And then gosh, you could broadcast that later. I mean, it's totally fun. That's something fun where it's that user generated content that you can use and share and have fun with. It's just fun is the bottom line. It'd be really cool. Definitely.
And by the way, I'm just looking through the comments here. Barbara's asking, we talked about the Facebook taking on Twitch. I think that might be a new topic. I remember reading something about that a few weeks back, actually. So not something we're going to talk about tonight. But I think this, like, I love your ideas, by the way. Running contests, that could be actually really fun to do with Musical.ly. If I'm a radio station, for instance, or in the entertainment business, I think that could be really good too. I wonder if Facebook's going to have any sort of contest rules maybe around that, but I think that it's a really good idea.
Yeah. Well, and you Mike, you pointed out earlier, I'm curious to see what their rules are going to be around the allowed music. I mean, this has always been a contentious thing with putting videos on Facebook. And if it's copyrightable music, they can block you or ban you from doing videos and things like that. So that's absolutely going to be something to consider. But I guess if they have a repertoire list of songs you can do, then those are going to be your options. And let's hope Guns N' Roses is in there for you guys. So
hey, they've outlined that one, so I'm counting on that one for sure. So it's got to be there. Yeah. No, I think that it's kind of a wait and see. But yeah, I think that I like Christian's comments that are trying to pull back some of that younger demographic and add the element of fun, add some of those pieces. Definitely contests, as Rachel said. I think there's possibilities. We'll have to wait and see.
I'm going to try it.
Definitely. But brother, if you have any recommendations on how you might use Facebook Lip Sync Live, by the way, this is like quite a tongue twister. If you have any recommendations, how you in your business, how do you think you could use it? Let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear some of those ideas.
Got it.
So Mike, we want to wrap it up with like an Instagram topic this week.
Yep. Okay. So one of the ones from Instagram is their ability to support full screen ads. So full screen support for ads in Instagram stories. And so basically, if you're in the ads manager at Facebook and you select Instagram as one of your ad sources, now your ad can be, they will make it full screen in stories as well. So you can deploy it there.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think that they got pixel matching technology to select the background gradient that's going to accommodate that. And if the ad creative is square or landscape, the text from Instagram feed or Facebook feed, will be added in the stories text. So swipe up capabilities going to be there. So just another richer ad experience there. And, good business for Facebook, but I think, good for marketers, good for businesses to be aware of this possibility.
It's great.
I definitely. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, after you. I'll go after you. I think it's great, though.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Well, this really, we all probably run into people who are not necessarily graphic designers. Maybe they can use Canva. Canva is one of those easy tools that you can use that makes you look like a graphic designer. And unfortunately, they have a lot of pre-formatted templates in there that are sized correctly. But we've all run into this. I try to do a Facebook ad. Yes, I'd like this to appear on Instagram too. Oh, suddenly you find out, well, I need to resize it or I need to change it. And this so helps out those particular advertisers to say, I don't know how to graphic design. I don't know what pixels are. I know I just want this image to appear and to do what I need it to do and display nicely. So this kind of closes that gap for them to say, yes, now you can do that. We'll take care of that for you. So I love that they're adding this. I'm not a big fan of Instagram ads, don't get me wrong, but this is nice for people who are trying to actually advertise on Instagram.
I will say the feature that I love the most about this is the pixel matching technology. I think that's pretty cool. So basically it takes whatever's there and it tries to like match it to come up with a background, for instance, to go with your ad if it doesn't fit. I think that's really smart. That's cool. That's really good automation there. That way you don't have to be the designer to get into creating like multiple versions of your ads. Mike, what do you want to add to this about full screen Instagram stories ads?
No, I think it's just an opportunity, and I think that businesses, I just want to experiment with it. I think it has possibilities, and so it's just neat. They're rolling out the technology, just like you said. It's kind of I can get off on that on the geeky side of things, but they're pixel matching technology. That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it's way cool. We'll see Snapchat probably try to copy that in the future, I'm sure.
I will say that is really cool technology because it makes it where it's one less thing that the advertiser has to think about.
Totally.
Because, you could be totally have done, an ad. And one of the challenges you always run into when you run, ads is you have the artwork done. And a lot of times you might have a designer that's doing it. Well, if you have to go fix it, you have to go back to the designer. What does that do? It delays things for your business. So, if you didn't have everything right the first time, hey, no big deal. Like they could turn it into a full screen ad for you using some technology. So I think that's really, really a smart move. So this is fun. By the way, and everybody seems to really want to do this whole lip sync thing. I think this is going to be really cool.
We got Mia Voss in the house there, and she's saying, Rachel, let's do it. So you guys are up. Anything 80s. Wow.
I could see I could totally see like just a live video montage, like just getting everybody together doing something, and
Well, I thought something else too, just really briefly. Yeah. We're talking about use cases. If you can do this in groups, you could do topical ones, and you totally could like isolate that down and stuff, and really do something that's like a contest or best of or something like that. It'd be totally fun. Like I could see people doing lip sync hour, lip sync show, whatever. I mean, it could take off. So if you can do it in every conceivable area of Facebook, it's going to be great. So I like the idea. The more and more I think about it, I really do like it.
It's so interesting because when I first read about it, I was like, okay, like this isn't going to be very useful. But the more like we talk about it, and we kind of explore it, I think that there's a lot there that people can really tap into. I think that on the surface, they dismiss it as, oh, that's just like for a Facebook profile. But in this case, hey, it has practical uses. The contest. I actually would love to see Facebook copy this feature over to Instagram maybe and do, Instagram Live, for instance. That could even be very cool. Or maybe they're already working on that. They probably are.
Well, I bet. I mean, because you can bring someone into an Insta Live just like you can a Facebook Live. I don't see why they can't do that. I think that's really cool. Good idea.
And they just rolled out the music feature where you can have your music that you're listening to. You can add that into your stories. Why not, hey, here's what our day was like. And oh yeah, we also spent a little bit of time doing a little lip sync battle. So
that's so fun.
I think it can get people energized, actually. I think that's the other thing. I think it could be, it's an icebreaker, but I think it could be a way to kind of, just show people, like just have personality, for instance.
Totally.
So I think it'd be fantastic.
It is.
By the way, so it is currently tool time. And we're going to talk about two tools here. And I've got a new graphic, actually. I'm sort of excited about this. So I did a new graphic. And you guys, if you guys like this, just let me know. But we have tool time here.
Aww.
And granted, I did kind of borrow this from Home Improvement. But we have tool time. And we've got some really good tools for you this week that we want to quickly talk about here. So by the way, there are a couple more topics we didn't get to talk about tonight, but we will put those in the blog post recap. You can get those by going to socialchefs.com/daily. That will let you get on our email list. We'll send you a link when the blog recap gets published tomorrow for many of you. So let's talk about these tools real quick and then wrap up the show. So tool number one is Almighty Press. And Almighty Press, and we talked about this tonight, actually. We talked about news, for instance, and to be able to like curate content and whatnot ahead of time, or how do you become a breaking news site, or how do you you know what I mean? How do you like stay on top of what's new?
Yeah, so, like disseminate that.
Yeah, exactly. Because hey, if you rely on just what's up on your social media channels, doesn't always work. So the tool is Almighty Press, a pretty simple tool. You basically can go on here and you can see what's actually like trending before, see what's getting popular or picking up steam before it actually happens. You can put it, you've got some content filtering, you do keywords, you've got your time filtering. You can also tap into an engagement filter as well, so that you're getting the right content in there. Have you guys used any of these tools? What do y'all think about these?
I like it.
This particular tool?
I actually I signed up for it. I got the 14-day trial, but I didn't have a chance to delve into it yet. I like it a lot, particularly for a social media manager. You always want to be on the forefront if there's a hashtag starting to trend or some topic. If you are running social posts for any kind of purpose and there's some way you can effectively, that's the key word there, try to hop onto that traffic or that trend, it's great to know about it before you're like, oh crap, that happened 3 hours ago and now it's kind of dead, but I'm going to go try to like get on it anyway. So I love that you can get ahead of the game a little bit with this. So it seems like it'd be really useful for media monitoring too, like for someone who's trying to just be, listen to their brand online and see what's being said. So I like it a lot.
Definitely. Mike, what do you think?
I think it also has potential. I think that, I want to experiment with it. It's kind of they're trying to predict the news before it's news. And so that's kind of leading edge. So we'll see how well they do. But if it works, I mean, hey, that's a great alert to be up there. I like some of those filters that it offers there. So it has potential. Got to see how accurate it works, and I'm sure that, they've tried to look at that, but it's got potential.
Definitely.
Christian,
yeah.
Does it just pull in from social feeds, and sometimes that might just be Twitter, but is it just like the primary social feeds? Or I think I saw it like it pulls from Medium and some other places.
It's got, it does pull from websites. So in this case, they've got Daily Wire up there. They've got BBC.
Nice.
So you're tapping into those. You've got keyword options. You can go with a website. You can say, hey, I just want stuff from this website. I want just these keywords. So you can curate from different sources. You can tap into, in this case, it's got Buffer, WordPress, Tumblr, and Medium. So it's probably tapping into some of the blogs that people are using.
That's great.
So that's tool number 1 for the week.
Yep.
By the way, Jason, thanks a lot for joining as well. We're just wrapping the show up, but we've got another tool real quick for everybody.
What is going on? Tools.
So tool number 2 for the week, by the way, and this one, it's got a 14-day free trial. I didn't actually see any pricing overall. Did you see any pricing, by the way, everyone?
Let's see. They have a link for price. Oh, and it's given in euros. So, wait, can I change it to US dollars? Yes, I will. So it looks like free trial, and then they do $58. I don't know if that's for per month or not, I assume, and then $117. So you can do free, $58 or $117 per month, I think.
And not a bad thing. I mean, for $58, $60 a month, not a bad thing if it can save you time helping you break the news or, quickly curate the content, because that's one of the biggest challenges you have with content. A lot of times it's just curating. There's just so many different sources. So,
this is cool.
Yeah. So tool number 2 for the week, by the way, is a tool called MediaToolkit. Now, this is a tool for helping you monitor your online mentions of your brand in real time. Very, very, very important. This was used by quite a number of very large companies, but this is a very useful tool. I mean, you basically get notified as things are happening, and so talking about your brand as you're being mentioned in comments, on social posts and hashtags, and more. What do you all think about this one?
This also looks like it'd be insanely useful for like media tracking and stuff, where particularly if you are responsible for brand reputation, which most social media managers are, this looks like that would be something that would be very useful. And by the way, just to clarify that the pricing I mentioned earlier, I was looking at MediaToolkit. So that's what the pricing is for this one. But looks like they do sentiment, engagement, influencer dashboards, Slack and email alerts for you, unlimited keywords queries, Boolean searches. It looks like a pretty effective listening and media tracker tool. I like it.
Definitely. And you can also, it'll monitor websites, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, blogs, discussion forums. You can track different countries, different languages. So you're not getting, in this case, you're not getting a basic app for monitoring your brand mentions or using something such as Google Alerts.
Yeah.
Toolkit, fantastic. Which does, Google Alerts is great, for instance, but it doesn't always give you all of the news as it's happening. You might get it, a few hours later, and at that point, it might be too late to, it's never too late to respond, but you may have missed something really important. Mike, what do you think about this tool?
I think it kind of takes some of the, it ramps up the sources, and so that just gives you a powerful tool all in one spot. Yes, there's Google Alerts, there's you can easily do website monitoring many places. Obviously there's Facebook pages, but when you start trying to pull all those together, and now Instagram kind of pieces there, and TripAdvisor, those types of things. It's getting to some of those more remote pieces, bringing them all together in one spot. So that's powerful. That can be valuable for a number of brands, if depending on what they need to monitor, where they're at, and those types of things. So you think of the hospitality industry, and just being able to do not only your website, but to be able to do Instagram plus TripAdvisor. Okay, now we're talking. I mean, that's significantly valuable.
That's right.
Great suggestions there. Restaurants, if you're a hotel, if you do travel, if you're an airline, like it depends on the industry. I mean, really, if you're in any industry, and you're in business, you should be using a tool to monitor your brand mentions. Yeah,
particularly those review sites. That's huge that it tracks that. So I think that's great. TripAdvisor's. I just remember we went on a trip to the UK, and TripAdvisor was everywhere. It wasn't Yelp. It was TripAdvisor. So particularly international, I think this would be a great thing to have. Particularly, and if you're on a budget, not everybody can drop $500 or more for actual like a full media monitoring package. This can get a lot of that done for you.
Definitely. And by the way, I will also add, like internationally, I mean, TripAdvisor here where I'm at is huge. Nobody uses Yelp. Yelp doesn't. I've actually reached out to Yelp, and Yelp doesn't exist here. They said, hey, thanks a lot. I even offered to help here. And, they basically just give you the blanket statement, but everybody uses TripAdvisor. Every business you're in, you go to a hotel, they're like, hey, can you go leave a review on TripAdvisor for us? So TripAdvisor is still valid for a number of things. Okay. And the other key thing with this is, it's about like responding. Like I was recently in a hotel, I left them a TripAdvisor review and they actually responded. So that's, and it was within a decent amount of time. So this is well worth it. So.
Yep, I agree.
But yes. So, and there are plenty of tools, as Mike mentioned, there's mentions, mention app. That's one you can use. You can use Google Alerts as well. This one, though, seems to be a very good all-encompassing tool. It does, brand influencers. So there's a lot of really, really good things and really good sources that it's pulling from. Yep. So that's tool 2 for the week.
There it is.
So that is the end of Social Chatter episode 142. Wow,
guys. Congrats.
Yes. So I want to thank everybody for watching, but hey, Rachel, where's the best place for everybody to connect with you? Twitter
honestly,
user, big Facebook user? What do you?
I'm on Twitter and primarily Facebook, and basically you can find me on Twitter. I would find me on Twitter at Rachel Moore RS, but I'm also on Facebook at Rachel Moore RS, and RS stands for really social, so because Rachel Moore, kind of a common name. So, but I'm on Snapchat at Rachel Moore RS, and LinkedIn on Rachel Moore RS, and those are all the places. And also my website, really.social. No .com, it's really.social. It's cool.
.social.
That's pretty awesome, actually, that you got a really good domain like that.
I like that. I like that domain a lot. It's my fave.
Nice. Very nice. Well, so that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. We've got another great show next week. We've got episode 143 at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I want to thank Mike. Thanks for filling in today. Big shoes to fill with Phil and Nick.
Yes. You filled in Phil.
By the way, I think that's going to be a running theme because we talked about that one last week as well.
Phil?
Yeah. So this week we're going to have, or next week we're going to have Nick Rishwain co-hosting. So Nick's going to be back as well. So it's going to be a great show. But thank you so much, Mike, for stopping in for this 45 to 60-minute show. Mike, what's the best place for people to connect with you, by the way?
Yeah, probably start out on Facebook, facebook.com, Mike G Digital, and you can connect with me there. Always online, MikeGingrich.com as well. But there was a shout out here. Jason said that was one heck of a water bottle, and I had to agree with him. So, Christian, can we get another view of that?
I didn't see it either. Wow.
We don't.
You are hydrated, my friend.
Definitely.
You're definitely not in the United States anymore at that point in time. We get one of those big babies there.
So, well, thank you so much for joining, everyone. We will see you all next week. We have a blog post recap going out as well. That will be going out tomorrow. You can get that by going to socialchefs.com/daily. But we will see you next week. Thanks a lot for spending your evening with us. Bye.
All right. See ya.